All right, students. So we are going to be working on our thumbnails here. This is your little tutorial. I'm using Photoshop, but it's pretty much the same thing whether you are in, whether you're using pencil or paper or whether you're doing a digital tool or whatnot. I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process. So the purpose of thumbnails, once again, is to give you a place where you can get all your ideas out. So it's not to do a whole bunch of details. It's not to, solve all the design issues. The place that thumbnails fits is where, you get the theme or the topic of your illustration, and then the thumbnails is a place where you can sit and work all those out visually. You're taking it from your mind and putting it into a physical place. Or in this case, a electronic place, but same thing. So the idea with thumbnails is they're not very detailed. Usually they're relatively quick. They don't have to be necessarily. That's not a requirement that it has to be quick, but I think we push them to be quick because, for a couple reasons. Number one, it creates a situation where, first off, we're not spending a ton of time on them, right? We're trying to get all our ideas out. Sometimes you have ideas that are coming really quickly and you need to just get them out, or you'll forget something. So it's a place where you can kind of drop all your ideas and get a little bit of an idea what you were picturing visually. The second reason is why we try to go a little bit quicker is when you're moving just beyond the speed that you're comfortable with, you're pushing your brain kind of into that intuitive place, and you're not thinking as much with your rational, judgmental brain. And I'm not meaning judgmental like judging other people. I'm meaning judgmental in the sense of you're analyzing and critiquing everything that you do. When you're in that mode, it's very hard to be creative. You get stuck on all the details and you get lost in all the small things that you don't have to worry about until later. You do need to access that part of your mind at some point in the illustration process when you're trying to solve the composition or you're working on detail or whatnot. But at the thumbnail stage, you want to, I don't know if suppress is the right word. I don't think it's the right word. You just want to flip into that part of your brain that's more intuitive and maybe almost a little unconscious. That's where our creativity springs from. So let's try a few. Let's say that our theme is food fight. I think I've had that one in the past with students. So when I'm doing thumbnails, I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. When I'm doing thumbnails, typically we do them small-ish, right? Maybe 2 by 3 inches, something like that. Basically just big enough that you can put in what you need to, but not so big that you have to spend a lot of time. So food fight. Okay, so I have a normal portrait orientation of the page here. I'm kind of simulating my paper. That's why I do a box there. It's good to have your design bound by something so that you can kind of see what it would fit like on a page. So the first thing I think is kind of the classic elementary school, we're gonna have tables here, maybe a table over here in the foreground, and over here we have this kid that's standing up on his chair and he's throwing something at this kid over here. Maybe it's like a hamburger that's flying apart and it's gonna smack into this kid, and he's looking up, he just barely sees it and he's like, oh my goodness. And so he is unprepared for that, and this is going to trigger a big fight. There's other kids sitting at the table, other kids sitting at this table. This is going to trigger the huge lunchroom fight, right? And that could be one. Here's the background, maybe the menus up at the top, and the lunch ladies in the background there, something like that. That's an okay composition, but let's see if we can push it a little bit more creative. So I'm sitting here trying to think what's working with this and what's not. I like the foreground idea, having one kid in the foreground and the other kid kind of farther away. Maybe I'm going to push that a little bit more so we would be able to get a little bit more of this kid's expression. And even though I'm not worrying about too much, I'm trying to get like a little bit of the, catch a little bit of the expression here. And it's okay if he goes off the page a little. We're cropping it off anyways, so this kid, maybe his hands are out because he's startled, but maybe he's like holding some of his food. Maybe he's got like a hamburger in his hand, showing that the next thing is going to happen. Well, we all know what's going to happen next. And then right here in the like right in the middle, pushed right into our view, is maybe there's the hamburger, there's the top bun. Go detailed, and like we'll get it close enough that we can see like the sesame seeds. And then here's like lettuce flying out, and there's the bottom of the bun. Kind of maybe there's ketchup and mustard or something like that. Like a slice of cheese right there. Anyways, I'm getting too wrapped up with it. Kind of having fun. So, and then in the background, we have this kid pushed way back there. And he's like, got his hand up because he's just, he's throwing it. And obviously those projectiles move quickly. So he's in the back, there's the tables, right? We've got to have the tables and the other kids, right? And maybe these kids are all watching what's going to happen, and they're getting ready for the big fight. I like that composition more. It's more interesting. I could add a little bit of shading on him if I wanted to push him slightly out of focus and emphasize more on the hamburger or whatnot. Let's try another composition right here. So I like that idea, but let's try maybe from the point of view of the other boy throwing it. Maybe here he is. He's got his arm flung out, right? And something like that. I don't know. We'll work on the pose of him throwing later. So there's his hamburger flying out there, or whatever. And then maybe the kid that he's throwing it at, actually he should probably be a little bit lower. So maybe I need to change the hamburger too. Maybe the hamburger is like a little bit smaller because it's traveled farther. And then maybe the kid that's about to get hit is sitting right there. He's got his sandwich like halfway to his mouth and he's looking up with like eyes like, oh, I know what's happening next. And his friends are like looking on too. And this kid's got like that evil grin, right? Like Calvin Hobbes style. So something like that in background information. What if we did a long composition and instead of catching the action right at the very beginning, what if we did something where it's full-blown food fight already? So maybe we want a view of more of the lunchroom. So we're seeing tables here. I'm gonna kind of just set those in first so we kind of have the impression of those, right? And then we'll stack the kids all over from there. Trying to channel my elementary school lunchroom, what it looked like. Okay, tables, and then, the little stools that they sit on. And then there's just kids everywhere throwing food, getting hit by food, etc. Maybe this kid's like getting knocked over, like he got slammed in the face by something, piece of pizza, corn dog, whatever. And just to exaggerate, maybe he's like flying up. His arms are splayed at weird
Tammy
angles.
McClellan, can you please call the main office? Thank you.
And then on this side, they're throwing things and getting hit and whatnot. It's a lot. I'm just kind of indicating detail. Again, I'm trying to get the idea of what's happening, and I'm not trying to put perfect details in at this point. I just want the idea that there's lots of chaos. There's lots of food being flung both ways. Maybe an interesting thing in here would be to have like, the principal or the lunch lady like really mad, like hands on their hips, or maybe they're screaming and their hands are waving up and down, and there's food that's right about to slime into their face or something. Anyways, okay. We could play with a lot of different variations of that. Something that came to my mind though when I thought food fight, what if it was actual food fighting? So we could have like a, I don't know, hamburger here, right? Lettuce, tomato, all the good stuff. And we'll give him like little arms coming out here in like a fist, like he's getting ready to punch. And you know, he's got to have legs of some sort. Figure that out later. And maybe he's throwing a punch right here already. And he probably would be fighting a hot dog. I don't know why, but that just seems right. So we have the hot dog here. His face is like, oh no. He's mad though. Wait a minute. Hang on. Can't give him that kind of face. Maybe he's got like, you know, X's because he just got punched. There's little stars or, you know, swirly things around his head. Maybe over here we have something where they're fighting. You know what? I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Let me erase the side of this. Maybe we have something here where they're they all of a sudden got a lot darker. Let me see if okay, that's all right. We'll just draw with it darker, right? I'll gray it up a little bit here so it matches everything else. Yeah, good enough. Okay, so maybe instead of just two things fighting, oh, I didn't draw the hot dog bun there. There we go, hot dog bun. You know, he shaded a little bit because he's a hot dog. It looked like he was a banana before, so we gotta make sure that we know he's a hot dog. Ketchup and mustard and all that good stuff in there. Maybe over here we have like two different sides, right? And they're like running at each other. So here's the hamburger charging. And they're getting ready to, you know, clash on the battle lines. And there's more hamburgers behind them because they're all in, you know, a row. There's hundreds of them. It's getting weird. I don't know. We're going in a weird direction here. And then on this side, there's the hot dogs. And they're about to clash. And we gotta draw like there's tons of them in the background. And maybe they have like, you know, they have to have something in their hands. So maybe they're, let's see, what would they be holding? They would be holding like, could be those little umbrellas, right? That you put in like a drink or something like that. I don't know, it doesn't seem right. But, I don't know, that doesn't seem right. Maybe they're holding like, kind of like guns, but instead of a gun, it's like a ketchup and mustard dispenser. Well, but then they wouldn't be charging each other. So we gotta go back. Okay. Yeah, we'll just have them holding like toothpicks and forks. That works. Toothpicks, forks, maybe some dinner knives. I don't know, we don't want like I don't know. We could do like a sharp dinner knife, but it seems like it would be better if it was like a butter knife or something like that. Maybe there's like, you know, one of the butter knives here, and maybe it has mayo on it or something like that. Fork over here. Maybe we even get a spork going on. Anyways, that actually starts to get interesting, right? And we have something to go off of there. So, notice none of these are incredibly detailed, but they're, I don't know, each one has its own little charm and idea. I don't think I would have gotten to this idea here, which actually so far is my favorite. And who knows, maybe I need to do some more and see what else I'd come up with. But the idea is you do thumbnails until you get an idea that you know you like. Probably what I should do is do a couple more until I am exhausted out of ideas, or I don't like the ones that I'm doing or something like that, I could change the view, right? I can make the hot dogs off in the distance. I make the hamburgers here in the foreground, and they're all running, or whatever they're doing. There's their forks and spears and whatnot. I think the biggest thing, though, is not to commit to an idea until you've exhausted your creative resources, maybe, because you want to make sure that you get that best idea. If I hadn't gone through each one of these, I don't think I would have gotten to this idea here, and then maybe I'd do a couple more and I would get an idea that I liked even better than this one, right? So once I get the thumbnail down, I can start working on like a rough draft where I'm working out the design. But again, with the thumbnail, the idea isn't to do a nice drawing or get a good design. It's just to get the idea out. I have noticed in the past when students have started to focus in on one thumbnail and they start to do detail, they almost always choose that as their final composition, whether it's the best idea or not. And I don't know why. I think that's because we put time and effort into it, and so we think it's the best version, even though it may not be. And we think I put all this effort into it, so I have to use that one, or else that effort was wasted. So, which it wouldn't be, but then again, that's also part of the reason why we keep our thumbnails quick and sketchy, right? All right, that is the demo about thumbnails, and I think that's all. I don't think there's anything left.